Hello.
Thanks a lot for including me again. Also, because it's the evening, I guess it's, more of a time when people retire to their sofas to see something, a film or a series. So I thought it's perfect timing. So thank you for the slot.
Yeah.
I think I feel that's the right time for my presentation.
Absolutely. We're better than a film.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Just a second. Let me. No.
Yeah, we can see your presentation now.
Okay, perfect. So basically,
excuse me, probably full screen. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. I'm a costume designer. I'm also a sociologist from my first education, and I've been looking at what has been happening in the period of the pandemic as a kind of situation I'm very used to. I mean, if our reality basically is a sort of script. If it's a film, if it's a TV show, if it's like a streaming, it sometimes happens that a script changes if you have a production. So one day you'll think you are designing costumes for a show or a film that is happening in the 70s. But then, there's a budget cut and it's not the 70s anymore. We're doing it in the modern days. So I thought, okay, so let's treat it as the usual thing. Let's not panic. We are just changing the script. We have to do something else. The only problem was basically it was not a script anymore. Actually, it was just turn and we don't know what's going to happen. There are no roles anymore. We don't know really what's going on. Even what's the genre? Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Are we going to the apocalyptic shelf? Is it going to be a Mad Max movie? So all these question marks basically are there. So basically, I thought that we'll try to look at it, as an assignment. But because there was no shooting going on, no film, I thought, okay, let's look at myself as a film character, as a certain identity that I have as a kind of fictional character, but let's treat myself as like a specimen and look what I would do, how would I redesign myself for this new reality that is coming. Now, this is a work a little bit backwards, because usually if you design a film, you kind of first know everything about the character from the script, from the director, and then you kind of have to translate these qualities that the character has, their story, and what it kind of wants to emulate to actual clothing and appearances on the screen. So now I was trying to work backwards. I was trying to look at my visual identity before the pandemic and kind of work back what is standing behind it. It's kind of more of a self-discovery, but we all have this blind spot about ourselves. There are many things in the way we look that are just unaware and unconscious. So this is me before. This was my primary visual identity. I'm a sucker for all kinds of suits, everything that is formal, tailored, buttoned up. My favorite items, if I could pick up, and like my glory items that I own are like handmade shoes and a vintage clutch, and suits for any occasion, for work meetings, but also for evening wear. Not only because of the formality of it, but also because it's so easy. You just put a suit on and you are basically ready to go, and you have the bottom and up covered. So if I was to put my character, me as a film character, to any show, I think the vibe that I would aspire to and I would love to be in is this very formal world that we see in that HBO show, The Succession, which is very corporate, very ordered, very structured. There are tons of suits there, tons of formal wear, businessy kind of a vibe. I could totally see, you know, myself, you know, just hanging in there and just blending in. It would not be something very weird for me with this kind of identity that you have. However, you know, like this show, the kind of corporate looks are done, and there is this new show right now, completely different. And if I could compare it to anything, it's more of a, you know, Comedy Central kind of a sofa-based light show, which is very domestic. You know, I mean, we've heard about it many times. So today, so I don't have to explain. And you know, if you try to Photoshop yourself into that, I mean, this is just ridiculous. It's just completely irrelevant. You know, there is this very, you know, big existential question that arises, like, Jesus, you know, how to be myself in this reality? And it's not just like a personal pain, but actually it's a financial loss. We invest so much in this, you know, visual glory that we are producing. We put time, effort, we experiment, we take risks, we go and, you know, make a ridicule of ourselves wearing some stuff. We devote years to come up with a personal style. So it's a very big loss. It's some kind of a dent in identity that is created. I think not only I mean, there are many bigger problems, of course, than a loss of a chance to wear a suit. I understand that, but nevertheless, there is something in it that has to be taken into consideration. So I just wanted to quickly say that the approach I took, I worked with a framework from process-oriented psychology, which actually divides the reality to three levels. And there is this idea of being me, like the identity I just showed you, and this is what is not me. So for me, you know, pants and tracksuits were definitely not something I was ready to incorporate. It was just too far from my primary identity. So if this is my core from before, the translation that I found was, these were my lockdown choices. It felt still myself. It kind of felt that this is still it. And I tried to come up with, just very quickly, like the proof that I really wore this. I was trying to find the essence of it. What is the essence between these two completely different garments that serve two different realities, the public reality and the semi-private, something that is formal and is informal. And I'm just, you know, beginning the work, but I was first looking at the visual signs that it brings, a very subjective perception and associations it creates. And the things that came up to me were there is something very vertical, like a column, like a monolith, something very solid. And the importance was just to kind of let go of very, you know, any constructs and beliefs, and kind of be free of judgment in order to be able to see that this is not work, or this is not evening, just to look something beyond. And I came up with some references, the cultural ones, that these things reminded me of, the same qualities that I was finding in Top Gun, Tom Cruise's jumpsuit, or in an armor in Joan d'Arc, or in any kind of broad shoulders garments, or in the 40s, you know, these column dresses. And these helped me to kind of translate the visual sign to the meaning that I guess unconsciously are trying to project. And I came up with these notions of, I don't know, some of kind of superiority. It doesn't mean that I have to like what I'm coming up with, just to say this sort of boldness, this kind of feeling power, authority. And I just don't know what's the essence of it. I mean, what's the one thing that kind of grasps it? I think I have to come up with this non-binary vibe, like a quality that will help kind of sum it up, this meaning, this one thing. And I thought it might be something of integrity, I don't know, leadership. It's kind of a semantic exercise to find this kind of core of yourself in a fluid reality. It's something that will survive no matter what the changes are brought. And that's my last point. Basically, I try to summarize it in like 5 steps how to do it. If someone is interested, I can it's still work in progress, so I can mail it to you. And just to say that this kind of essence, I think, is something that can actually help us if you go very deep to what constitutes your identity, and not just its kind of external manifestations. It can kind of help you revive no matter what the circumstances are and no matter what are the disruptions. Just a final note, I think that the change of reality will be seen in very minor changes. I think that this incorporation of the disruption that the pandemic brought might be seen in a very tiny way and incorporated to our primary identities, but it will mark a very big change generally. So thank you very much. That's it from me.
Thank you, Agata. Interesting. Did you used to wear overalls before the pandemic?
I did, but basically it was just like when I wasn't set, so in very dirty work environment. So right. When I didn't have to think about anything, that was the only occasion.
Mm-hmm. There is a question from Ksenia Gusarova. A magnificent talk, thank you. And can it also be about the idea of professionalism / work? The suit obviously links to business suit and power dressing, while overalls remind me of Italian futurist and Russian constructivist experiments with clothes.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, definitely there is a work in the background. I mean, this is like physical work, and this is, I don't know, kind of corporate work. But since I'm working on myself, I don't feel this is a work thing. But as I said, I think I have a major blind spot as to, interpreting myself. So it might be something very deeply, I don't know, denied in myself, and I'm not ready to see it. But that's like an obvious hint, of course.
Mm. Yeah. So Ksenia suggests it looks like you've been through a revolution.
Oh yeah. Right. If I could just say 2 things, if anyone would like to see something about a good film about the identity and the loss of identity, let me show you something. Come on, show previous slide. There are 2 exquisite films. One is Abre los ojos, which is the Spanish version, and the American version is Vanilla Sky. And the other one is Surrogates with Bruce Willis, a great watch about the subject.